Permanent modular construction has become a fast, dependable solution for a large range of commercial and institutional construction applications. Warrior Group maintains key partnerships with modular component production facilities throughout the U.S. to provide its valued clients with the highest measure of construction quality. Let's take a look inside the Trendsetter production facility in Belton, Texas, to better understand the benefits of modular construction. Our plant guide will be Bill Garner. The plant is configured with multiple construction sequence stations. As the construction of the building sections develop, the entire building moves from station to station, starting with the building substructure and ending with a finished building module ready to transport to the construction site.
What we have off to the side here is our first cell that feeds into the line. This cell over here is going to build the bathroom section of each floor, which is this section right in here. It takes a little longer to build this bathroom section because of all the plumbing running through the floor joists.
The feeder areas, adjacent to the main line, provide pre-constructed components to keep the line from slowing down due to special requirements in the construction plans. The feeder area assemblies are integrated into the main structure of the appropriate times as the building project moves throughout the plant.
Once this is all framed out, we take it from this fixture to this fixture. We roll it from fixture to fixture. Once we set it in this fixture, we have all the floor joist framing done. Now we're going to align the whole framed unit out in this fixture, and the way we do that is there's angle iron running all the way down the side of this fixture and across the back. That angle iron's been lasered in at an exact 90-degree angle. We'll roll this in and then we'll secure the framing joist to the fixture, so we'll square the framing joist back off before we set the decking in place. Now, when we start to set the decking down on this unit, that will lock the unit in, being square. Before we finish and move this unit out of here, we'll go back one more time and we'll take diagonal measurements from corner to corner to make sure that the floor is square.
The next stop in the plant is RTM Station Number 1, where the substructure decking is installed over the floor joist system.
Now in this section here, you can see we've gone ahead from the station before it. We've dropped the plumbing in, and all the plumbing is starting to come through the floor. So all the floor sections have been cut. All the floor insulation is in place at this point in time. Then you can note right here, this material is a vapor barrier material that is run underneath the house and secured all the way around the perimeter joist in one piece.
Any gaps that occur in the floor decking are filled and sanded at this stage, so the subfloor will be free from any defects prior to installing the floor underlayment.
In this particular job, you can see the L-shaped area midway up the floor here. It has a product called Mercrete, which is a rubberized floor sealant, which happens to be in the bathroom. Once the floor has been sanded and all the seams have been filled and resanded, then this is going to move to the next station. Our people on the floor know that we live by our quality system, and our quality system starts with them. So our quality system is really built from the floor up. It's not a top-down type system. We get all the employees to buy into the quality system, and that's what makes it work for us. And we use a heavy-duty material to protect the floor through the rest of the process so we don't mar the floor up. At this point in time, you can see that the floor is actually put on an air system. So these pads that you see underneath the floor, they vibrate and cause harmonics, so you can easily push the floor with the vibration pads underneath it going on, and the rest of the plant will be that way. We put the jacks on the corners because what's important is to make sure that the floor stays even all the time as we start putting things onto it. So one, very important for the cross-check to make sure that the floor is square. Number two is to make sure that that floor stays level all the time. It'll all add in the finished process to keeping all the tolerances correct. Okay, this is one of our warehouses here, and all of our material is kept inside.
A great advantage of the permanent modular construction process is the protection of all the construction components from the environmental conditions normally encountered on a conventional job site.
Material outside, it gets rained on, gets wet, you have to dry down. It's all kept inside. We control the material completely and control the vendor sending the material in. Those materials, as they're unloaded, they get inspected and checked against what the vendor is sending us. All of the walls are built on fixtures, so you're not going to see chalk lines on a cement floor trying to design things. Everything is built to print. All the fixtures for all the walls house the wall assemblies in a certain manner, so when that assembly comes off, it's square. When that assembly comes off and goes on, and here's an exact example of it, you can look at the framing on this and see how square all the framings come together. When you set everything in a fixture, it all sets at the same level. So when you mechanically fix things together, it stays at that level. When it comes out of the fixture, the wall is square. This is an area where all the walls are set onto the floor, and they're all very specifically measured into place. The other thing we do in our wall sections is we use a product called alpha glue. And that alpha glue is a very high bonding two-part glue. So we glue the panel on, which actually is stronger than the mechanical ways we're going to fix the panel to the framing members. What it does is it allows that panel to stay very, very still on that framing member the entire time so that you don't get nail pops or anything. Because when they build the walls, they assign a number to the wall so that the team knows what number, what place that wall goes into. The group that builds the wall also initials it. So we have the construction people's initial on the wall also. From here on forward, you're going to start to see from cells that are inside in the plant, start feeding items in, such as cabinets. This is the area where the cabinet is timed to come into the floor. When a unit ships down the road, it's hauled down the road on a carrier. There's some torsional activity that goes on from the carrier. So we find items out that we want to come back to the plant, feed that information back in here, and fix. An example of that would be, in this section where the door frame is here, we found that we had some cracking above the door frame. So we've added metal plates in here to tie this into a stronger a corner so that the cracking will stop. But it also speaks to the beauty of doing it this way, because you can catch items that you see in the field that you can come back online before they're built and correct them. When you're in the field, you catch these items, and what do you have to do? You have to tear them all apart and start all over again. Now you can start to see, here is an apartment, that's a closet. This bathroom will turn around this way. Then here's where the cabinet will go, and here's where your shower and your bath is. Then the next section right here is your corridor. This box is 50 feet long. And you're going to have maybe 18 or 20 of these stacked on each side of each other going down, creating a corridor. So it's very important that the next box that comes up and sits on this box, these walls line up. Otherwise your corridor is going like this. So what we do is we have a fixture we made that sets exactly what the top is. And there are others that you don't see right here right now that shows you exactly where the floor is. Once they get those two exact and you know all that square, they tie it together with these cross members so it holds that squareness. And you can see that actually what we do is we mark that center line of that corridor. So when they get on site, they laser those center lines into place down that corridor, and they know which one, exactly where to set it against the center line on the unit adjacent to it. See, they got the vibrators going, and they're just pushing that house right along by hand.
Permanent modular construction allows for a greater attention to details that are often overlooked in conventional on-site construction environments.
By the time we get here now, this wall is going to drop on. It's just sitting in place. They're going to move this wall a little bit and put it exactly in place. And you can see they built the fixture with the top plates on there. We'll leave those top plates intact now until we get over here when we set the roof on. Once the roof's on and we lock all the walls in place, then we'll cut those out. Okay, the way they build the ceiling fixtures on these is they first start out on the table and they lay the gypsum board down first. So they're going to build it backwards. Once the gypsum board's laid down, they come and they put the perimeter rail into the fixture. Then they start dropping all the trusses in place. Once all the trusses are secured in place to the rim rail, they'll come back with a two-part foam, and they'll spray foam down these rafters. That holds the gyp board to the rafters. Once that's done, the unit will be picked up by a crane, taken over to the next station, and if it's a fire-rated ceiling, then they'll mechanically fasten that in the next station, cut the holes for the lights, and then they'll start doing the drywall finishing over here in the next station. So you can see the top is brought over, set into place here. We go ahead and cut all the holes out for smoke detectors, speaker systems, lights, sprinkler system. We do all that here, and then we tape and bed it off in this fixture here. Now they're starting to set the roof. You can see how square that lines up in that corner. Once they get that tied in down there on one side, they'll come back here and they'll pull this wall over and let it down, and it'll sit square on the entire unit once they're done with that. With all the sprinkler lines I'll put in, all the orange piping is a 13R sprinkler system for this job. But this is an area where now they're going to run the electrical and plumbing and the low volt conduit in the ceiling of this unit, which breaks out into the corridor. In the station to the right, they'll start putting all the insulation in, as you can see down the sidewalls, and they'll run OSB on the end wall. Now the OSB isn't cut out around the end window yet, but it will be cut out around the window. Next station over, we start putting exterior material on, like Tyvek, sheathing on the outside. That's an end wall there. We also, as you can see on the third unit over, there's a little bowed truss system we put in there, and we put a very heavy mill thickness of poly over the top of that for rain protection. Those bowed trusses help shed the rain off the unit. Once that goes to the site, they'll pull those trusses, set it, stack the next unit on top of it. The unit you see clear to the left has a flat top because that's a 4-story. And a 4-story in this project, we just do a flat ceiling, put EPDM over it. Once that's set up at the site, there's a standing seam roof that goes on it, so there's rafters that another contractor adds on the roof to finish it out. This is where we do all the HVAC. We build all of our HVAC ducts, dampers, plenums, those types of things. All done by the same people, same group all the time. This is where we put all of our levy assemblies together. All right, what's happening in this station now, the drywall has been put up, and so the mudders are in there, and they're taping all the joints, and mudding all the joints. They're going to float all the joints out to get it prepared to paint. The station I told you about, where we put lifts underneath it, and we're actually going to pull out these vibrators now. So we've cribbed the house in this station, and these lifts are all daisy chained together. It'll lift the entire house up at the same time, or floor up at the same time. And then we have a chassis outside we bring back in underneath it, and we'll set this on a chassis. It'll stay on the chassis from this point all the way through when it gets craned at the site.
Quality control is a key factor in the decision to use permanent modular construction for projects across the U.S. today. Warrior Group is dedicated to deliver the highest measure of quality to its clients.
Once a unit's at the site and it's craned, there'll be a unit, as this unit is here, and another unit sitting right next to us. OSB will go over this cover and extend this OSB that you see right here to close the 2 units up. Then the Tyvek material, we've measured that and folded it back, so that Tyvek material unfolds from one house, one floor to the next floor, and the same vice versa coming back to create the seal on the outside. The same way as this piece will turn on down to cover the floor below it. As the units progress down the line, so does the quality sheets that go with the units. And as you can see, now we're starting to get all the sign-offs going down the quality sheets. When we get to certain areas that requires measurements, just check square of roof. The cross measurements are written in to make sure that that's square. That quality traveler will follow the unit when you take it to the field and check off again there. The units we've been building, they run from about 31,000 pounds of floor up to about 37,000 pounds of floor. We're going to go out and look at one that's ready to ship because they're waiting for carriers to come back from the site, and then carriers will be put underneath these, and these will be sent up. These are all staged.
The completed building modules are stored at the Trendsetter facility until being transported to the project location and assembled according to the project specifications. For more information on permanent modular construction, contact Warrior Group today at 866-927-4600. 4787 or visit our website at www.warrior-group.net.